things together.
What's going on, everybody? Can you hear us? Are we loud and clear? Put it in the chat box. Say something.
I'm sure they can hear us.
Okay. I can hear you.
Good. That's what matters, right?
Nothing else matters.
All right. So we're going to watch it from here or there?
From here.
Okay. Yes, we can hear you.
All right. What's up, Clifton? Hey, Emma.
Hey.
Hey, Arlene.
Hey, Arlene. What up? What up? Okay. So we're going to just go ahead and get started because that's what we're going to do. We're just going to go ahead and get started. So we've been on this, what would you call it?
Just this women's empowerment movement.
Yeah. Just from a sermon.
Yeah, just from one sermon, and then talking about our relationship and talking about our marriage, our friendship, and just going from there.
Yeah, it's been awesome, really awesome being able to spend this time with you guys as well. The interaction has been just great, and we're so appreciative of you all that tune in and just chime in and let us know what it is that you're thinking or feeling, and I love it. I absolutely love it. So right now, we're just going to kind of, I don't even know if we should recap because I think we're good. Like, I think that topic of, say her name, Carlene. What's her name?
Well, Dina.
There we go.
I was getting lost. So yeah, we're talking about Dina and her rape and the violence and Jacob not defending his daughter's honor, her brothers coming in, killing everybody. But in the whole story, the victim is Dina on so many different levels.
Yeah. So, yeah, I just pray and hope that story will remain in our hearts. And every now and again, when we have that desire to speak up and not allow our voices to be silenced, that we would remember that we can not speak for her, but speak up because she never got the chance to do that. So anyway, today,
super hype.
I'm sorry. So I get super, super hype when I am happy about something and when I feel a level of comfort. So it's apparent that I feel comfortable with this. Before I was just like, this is awkward, but it's nice being able to talk and whatever. So today we're going to talk about
Vashti, values, and violence. Triple V's.
Mercy. It feels like a sermon.
Yeah, it does feel like a sermon, but I want to rap.
No. Okay.
Oh yeah, to the people, you want to say it? I know they're going to be disappointed, but.
And that's okay. So I asked him, he said he's not streaming on the same thing he streamed on last week with all of those horns and crazy sound effects.
Say it like that, all of those horns. It was what the people wanted. They kept asking for the horns. They wanted the applause.
They were lying.
And I totally forgot that this program doesn't have it. So next week, I promise, I'm going to have the horns. We're going to have the whole show.
No.
Everything's going to be lit.
We're actually going to delete it from off of the computer, so we won't have to use it again. Yeah.
That's not what's up.
It is. All right. So anyway, Queen Vashti, focus. Queen Vashti. So as you know, this story begins in the book of Esther. So we're going to have a little Bible study on the Sabbath. So if you have your Bibles, if you have your whatever, we're going to read from the beginning, Esther 1 verses 1 through, I think it's 21 or whatever. But
tell them what version you're reading.
Sorry, I'm reading from the ICB. I actually enjoy.
What does ICB stand for?
International Children's Bible.
There we go.
What is this, like a Bible test?
No, I'm just saying. It
felt like he was trying to test my knowledge on my version.
No. I just want the folks to know that we're reading the children's version of the story. And why? Because the children's version is more accurate, right?
Right.
All right. I'm sorry.
Okay. Okay, so here we go. So we're reading from Esther chapter 1.
Yes.
All right, here we go. All right. This is what happened during the time of King Xerxes. He was the king who ruled the 127 areas from India to Kush.
All right, man. That was dope. Like how you read it, that was amazing. And Kush is in there, Africa. Okay, but in those days, King Xerxes ruled from his capital city of Susa.
What is that?
That's my voice. You did a voice. I want to do a voice too.
In the third year of his rule, he gave a banquet. It was for all the important people and royal officers. The army leaders from the countries of Persia and Media were there, and the important men from all Xerxes' empire were there.
The banquet lasted 180 days. All during that time, King Xerxes was showing off the great wealth of his kingdom. And I want to read it this way. And he was showing his own honor and his greatness.
Okay. When the 120 days were over,
80.
What did I just say?
120. This is Noah's Ark. This is not Noah's Ark.
Yeah, I'm mad at you trying to correct me on this thing.
Sorry, people are probably listening.
Probably they are. Okay.
They are listening. And we have a Bible scholar, L.A. Seeley here. What up, Seeley? He is going to call me out if I get it incorrect.
Okay.
You know Linworth.
Yes. What up, Pastor Seeley?
All right.
Okay.
We're going to read the whole chapter.
When 180 days were over, the king gave another banquet. It was held in the country courtyard of the palace garden for 7 days. It was for everybody in the palace Susa, from the greatest to the least important.
The courtyard had fine white curtains, purple drapes. These were tied to silver rings on marble pillars by white and purple cords, and there were gold and silver couches. Mercy. These were on a floor set with tiles of white marble, shells, and gems.
Wine was served in gold cups of various kinds, and there was plenty of the Henny King's wine because he was very generous.
And the king, now I could do the King Jamie version.
Okay.
The king was like, yo, I want all my guests, drink as much as you want. Feel me? And he told the wine servers, yo, serve each man as much Belvedere, Henny, Alizé. Yo, just get lit.
How you know all about those drinks?
Because I'm a man of the people. I know what the streets, I have to preach to the streets.
Okay. So Queen Vashti also gave a banquet. It was for the women in the royal palace of King Xerxes.
And on the 7th day of the banquet, King Xerxes was feeling himself because he had been drinking mad liquor. He gave a command to the 7 eunuchs who served him, to his men and them. They had some crazy names: Mehuman, Biztha, Harbona, Bigtha, Abagtha, Zitha, and Carcass.
He commanded them to bring him Queen Vashti. Guess what?
What?
Wearing her royal crown.
All right.
She was to come to show her beauty to the people and important men. She was very beautiful.
So the eunuchs told Queen Vashti about the king's command, but yo, she was like, I ain't coming. I ain't going out there with just my crown on. And the king came, he got super angry. And this anger was like burning, fam, like lit fire.
Right.
Lit fire, not just fire. Lit fire. Yep.
But okay. So it was his custom for the king to ask advice from, guess what?
Who?
Experts. So here's the experts. He spoke with the wise men. They would know the right thing to do, right? He didn't say within himself, yo, I need to check my life, or I need to do. He went to his friends.
Yep. And these so-called wise men, his boys, usually talked to were Karshina, Shita, Admatha, Tarshish, Meris, Marsina, and Mumukan from down the street. And they were 7 of the important men of Persian media. And they were like kingpins, you know what I'm saying? They were privileged to see the king. Because, they was holding it down. They had the highest rank in the kingdom.
Sorry, I'm getting distracted. So the king asked those men, so what does the law say must be done to Queen Vashti? Because she straight up disobeyed me. And what am I supposed to do with her?
And so all the wives, so now they speaking. We at verse 16?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Focus.
I'm focused. I had to drink some water. So bust this. All the wives of the important men of Persian media will hear what the queen did. And they ain't going to honor their husbands no more. They're going to be out there wilding Xerxes. So they gonna say this. They gonna say to King Xerxes, yo, your shorty, Queen Vashti, was asked to be brought to you, but she refused to come. Now, all of them gonna think throughout Medes and Persia that it's okay to do that. And they're gonna speak to their husbands the same way. And they will no longer, and there will be no more respect. It's only gonna be anger and disrespect inside the homes. 19,
I don't even know where you are.
19. I just interpreted that whole text.
Wait, am I up to 19? Because I don't even know where he is.
It was up to 19. So our king.
I can't even find it.
19. You're not reading the Bible right here.
Dad, you read all of that? Sorry. So our king, if it pleases you, give a royal order and let it be written in the laws of Persia and Media, which cannot be changed. The law should say, Vashti is never again to enter the presence of King Xerxes. Also, let the king give her a place as queen to someone who is better than she is.
And the king's order, let it be known all over the place. Yo, put it on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Let everybody hear this joint. Then all the women will respect their husbands, from the greatest to the least important.
So the king and his important men were happy with this advice. They were like, yeah, yo, I love it. So King Xerxes did as Memucan suggested.
And he put it out on
Twitter, Facebook,
Instagram. And a letter was sent to each area, written in its own form of writing, in Ebonics, all of that. And a letter was sent to each group of people written in their own language. And these letters announced that each man was to be ruler of his own family. And also each family was to speak the language of the men.
Speak the language of the man. What in the world?
Woo! All right, here we go. Let's talk about it. What do you want to talk about?
All right. First of all, let's talk about, oh my gosh, where should we start? Let's talk about Queen Vashti. Let's talk about her. Okay. I don't even want to talk about Xerxes right now because I feel like Xerxes he's on another level. I don't even want to talk about him right now. I want to talk about Vashti. Let's talk about what we know about Vashti.
Yeah.
All right. So Vashti's name means beautiful. So you know she was drop dead gorgeous, like probably the most beautiful thing that you had ever seen, right? That's what her name meant. Vashti was seen as wicked and vain.
Right.
That's her persona. That's her image. This is a woman who went against the king. So she has to be wicked and she has to be vain. Like she's no good. What else? She may have been a member of one of the most important families in the Persian Empire or kingdom.
So you want to talk about that and then we'll talk.
Yeah.
Right.
So we knew that. We know that she was an aristocrat of sorts. Like she didn't come from poor, like she was in there, right? She was probably designated from birth to be groomed for being a queen. Right. This is not like something that was just brought upon her, almost like Esther, Queen Esther. This was something that she was groomed for.
Right.
Okay. And then I think that's just about all the things that I can think about Queen Vashti. She also threw a banquet for her
peeps,
the women.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's all we know about her.
Yep.
Okay. All right. So let's talk about the man.
The man. Oh, the weak man, Xerxes.
Yeah, let's talk about him.
So, Artaxerxes, he is portrayed as in the scriptures as this king who constantly depends on his friends to dictate and determine how he should treat his wife and how he should run his kingdom. So it's interesting to me, like when I'm thinking about Xerxes seems like the type of man that's rich, wealthy, that has everything, but his wealth and his riches is predicated on how other people view him.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like he's not like, he doesn't appear to me like a man who can stand on his own and who can be rich and just like, this is who I am, or poor and this is who I am. So he's constantly like, okay, the text we read, he's just going back like, yo, what should I do? Should I do this? And then his peoples are influencing him. And then even when he's trying to do with Vashti, it's like he's trying to impress his friends by bringing her out on the 7th day of the banquet, which is which we'll talk about a little bit more in regards to that.
So Xerxes is one of those men that is so powerful that he feels as though I think he knew he was rich. He was powerful, but I don't think that he was powerful here.
Yeah, right. He's like,
you know what I mean?
He's like, stupid powerful. He has money. That's what makes him powerful. And he's probably an heir to the throne. Like, I should have looked at how he became king, but he's almost like inherited, because, those things are by lineage.
Right.
So he's inherited this. Doesn't mean that he's qualified for the position. I think that's important. There's a lot of people in leadership who aren't qualified for it, but who have gotten there by default.
Right.
Or by, people selecting them there. So, but the one thing that he does have, because he has money and power, because he has money, he has power. So the same thing like Shechem, right? With Dinah. He's the son of a king. He has power. So what? He uses his power to abuse Dinah.
Yeah, but it definitely, this text reveals his ineptness. Like, this dude went to his friends. But again, Xerxes is not necessarily different than some men that we may or may not know.
Yeah.
That may have the flashy car or the gear, rocking different gears like Gucci or whatnot. But that's all that there is to them. Like, there's no substance. There's no real deepness about them.
Yeah. And honestly, those things get you respect. You and I, we grew up in Brooklyn.
Right.
We grew up in, and in Brooklyn, clothes was everything, especially and I would just say in the African American community.
Yeah.
In high school, like, your gear, it didn't matter what you had in your brain, it didn't matter anything else, but what you had on allowed you to be in certain circles.
Right.
Allowed you to be in certain groups. And then because you had that, you looked at other groups, you looked down on other groups. So, money and money comes with power. And once you front like you got money, because a lot of people got, I'll even say like Louis Vuitton bags, but they ain't got no money inside of it, right?
It's true.
But it's status. So, with Xerxes, man, he got status and he's the king. And so he's like, yo, I'm going to show off.
Yeah, I like what Arlene said. Because I think, is it Xerxes or Ashurus? Or is it one and the same?
Yeah, it's one and the same.
Okay. So I like what Arlene said. She's like, Ashurus made a half-drunk decision based purely on feelings. First of all, they were drunk. First of all, they had a party for 180 days, right? That's crazy. I've never heard of that. Then he had an additional 7 days of more partying, where he basically told the people, get as drunk as you want, do whatever it is that you want to do. There is plenty, but that was just him trying to show off to his friends, to the people in the kingdom, like, yo, I got money. I'm wealthy, I'm successful, so come and enjoy. So I already feel like the entire setup of the banquet, the entire setup was destined for him to fail, because he was basically having this party just so he can show off. He can flash. It's almost like back in the day when you went to camp meeting, right? You guys met all my New York folks. You remember Crumb Elbow Road, Camp Victory Lake? Yo, let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. Dudes would rent cars. Dudes would rent cars and show up and roll up to Camp Victory Lake, dusty ground floor. Like, where are you going? Why? Why are you doing that? And then, people used to be drawn to that. It was just like, yo, you see that dude? You see what he's driving? Yo, you see what he's wearing in this dust? Like, everybody's shoes is straight, like, dusty, but we're so focused on the flashiness of, I just want to be seen. I want everybody to know that I am more than, well, I'm not more than, but I have this. And this proves that I am, I don't know what.
That I'm somebody.
Right.
I'm important. And then we feed into it, because we give those people attention, and we often say don't judge a book by its cover, but we judge books by the cover when it comes to human beings all the time. That's why some of us front the way we do, because we know that first impression is last impression. And so we always want to make a good impression.
But there's a fine line though.
Right.
There's like a real fine line to that case. Because yes, you do want to have a good impression, but to what end? When it becomes prideful, when it becomes, you know, like you're almost like a showman, like.
Right. And that's when you have, you know, a small mind, when you think that valuables determine your value. And you can never, because valuables come and go, man. They don't determine who you are. And that's why it's important that you know who you are and what you stand for. Another thing too I want to bring out about Vashti, with him asking her, and David brought up a good point. So some interpretations, yes, it is in a royal crown with no clothes on.
Mercy, Jesus.
And there's some interpretations that it could be in her regalia. I'm leaning towards the first interpretation, right? He was drunk. It's the 7th day of the party. But here's the problem with this. Everybody at the party is drunk. You don't bring your queen out on the last day of the party. You bring your queen out on the first day of the party, and you say, this is my queen.
Yeah.
If you let her, you know, if that's the tradition, and then you show folks who they are. It's like, you know, if I'm having a party here and me and my boys are wilding, you in the room, and then I'll be like, oh, and I'm drunk. Yeah, bring my wife out here.
Right.
He's objectifying and disrespecting his queen, you know, so the dude is just reckless.
Yeah.
I think that's the key word, reckless.
Yeah. Going back to what you were saying about Vashti coming in, being summoned while he's drunk. And the reason why he wants to bring her out is he wants to show her off to his friends.
Yeah.
And one of the things in reading this story, or rereading this story, because I've read it like 50 million times, but thinking about Vashti and knowing that she knew her value, like she knew that I am an aristocrat.
I'm
like
not a thought.
I am not your stripper. I am not your I'm not that. If you thought I was that, you got the wrong one.
Yeah.
And it's just so amazing in that, and so powerful that she knew that this man was objectifying me and he was subjecting me to being something I was never trained for or trained to do. And I love the fact that she owned her value. She did not bow down. She did not allow him to influence her, but that she stood her ground and she was like, I'm sorry, I'm not coming out. Like,
yeah. She's like, this ain't no beauty pageant.
Like,
I ain't going for Miss Mead and Persian. And I think what's important too is like what you said at the beginning was that she knew her value.
Yes.
So a lot of people may, and as you brought it, a lot of people may think that because she married a king, she became a queen. She was a queen before she married the king.
That's right.
So she was royalty before she got with him. Which is important because she could be like, nah, I'm still gonna be royalty. So it's not like she's gonna become nothing after she leaves him. And that's why it's important for a woman to have her own outside of who it is. Like, you know, God forbid, not even like when we are together or when we're separate, you are Carlene Callis.
That's right.
You are an individual. You are not, I don't make you, you know, or I don't define you. You have your own definition, your own space, which is important.
And he's completely correct.
That's when the horns.
No, that's when you just listen.
Oh, okay.
That's when you just say, yeah, I said something really great, and then you listen.
All right. You said something great. I listen.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Sorry. See, now that's how you make me lose my thought, because I'd be like in the zone, and then you just kind of like snatch it away with just making some joke.
Don't worry, you're still in the zone. Go for it.
Okay. So when we first got married, I believe I always owned who I am. I've always owned Carlene, right? There were some rough patches along the way, but I always knew my value. However, as we always say, this is a real conversation where we don't necessarily want to be as real as possible, because who has time to be fake and pretend? Not me. So I knew my value, but sometimes especially with his profession, right?
Yeah.
How most of the times, pastors' wives are silenced, right? Let's be real. We're silenced in the sense where our voices aren't heard as much. Maybe now you are hearing the voice of pastors' wives, where you're hearing us behind the pulpit. You're hearing us doing different things, starting ministries, doing amazing things, right? But before, the idea or the thought of a pastor's wife was what? She was sitting on the first pew,
play the piano
with a hat on,
sing for me.
She's singing a piano. She's playing a piano, playing an instrument, but mostly a piano. And the pastor's wife is often never heard. She's super quiet. You know, she has this graceful, you know, she just sits real pretty in her hats or with her fancy outfits or whatnot.
Yeah, and which I want to say, which is okay.
Yeah. It's great.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah. It's great. But I think the idea of
the stereotype,
the image of this is what a pastor's wife should look like or should be.
Yeah.
And coming into ministry, I had to try to find who I was as a pastor's wife, knowing that I was not the sitting quietly or wearing hats and gloves and things of that nature. That was not Carlene at all. I hated wearing stockings. Like, that was just not me. However, trying to, I guess, assimilate to the ministry, it took a while for me to know my value, to be able to know my voice or be able to be confident in my voice. And so sometimes, even in knowing my value, and some women in knowing your value, in trying to find the strength of your value, sometimes you're quieted or silenced. And that silencing doesn't necessarily come from someone outside. It may come from within. And so that's something that I had to figure out, right? Mm-hmm. Knowing that my value was in myself, knowing my strengths and knowing my weaknesses, and being able to stand up and stand out when I knew things were not necessarily going the way that I wanted to go, but just to speak up and speak out. So I think with Vashti, from jump, homegirl knew this is my value. You may try to subject me to this, but I'm here to let you know, it's not. I'm not going out like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Because as you know, David Wilson here, Bible scholar, which I'm not as smart as, but yeah, she could not fully be dismissed because of her status and knowing her status. Now, here's the thing, right? Even if you know your status, you can still subject yourself to assimilate into what other people want you to do.
Yes, that's exactly. Look, you just took my words and just
That's why the two are one.
I appreciate that. That's exactly what I was trying to say. Say it one more time. Please.
You can know your status, but you have to live up to it and not live down to other people's expectations.
Yeah.
Because even if she could not have been fully dismissed, she could have assimilated and just bowed down to Xerxes' request.
Correct.
For her to do that. And I think it's important for sisters, young and old, that they know their status, that they know who they are, because the only thing that you can really control is who you are.
That's right.
Right. And your mindset and what you think about yourself.
That's
and
right.
Not allowing other people to determine what you should think about yourself. That's right. Or how you should view yourself. You determine that. And if people can't abide by those rules, then chuck the deuces, and that's what Vashti was like. Like, she's like, yo, on the seventh day of the party, the highest part of the party, now you want to bring me out? In my royal crowd? Deuces, Xerxes. Now you got to go find somebody else. And, I don't know if you want to say this now, but there would have been...
Wait, you asking me if I want to say it now, or are you going to say it now?
I can say it now, and then you can tell me, let's hold that.
Okay.
There would have been no Esther if there had not been a Vashti.
That's right. That's right. That's right. He's 150% right. I don't know if we want to go there now, but I guess we can.
No, we don't have to. Let's go.
We can.
Let's go by your program.
My program. This is our program.
The outline. Blessed Sabbath. See, Adriana. You want to sing Days Dying in the West?
No, it's not dead yet. Okay. All right. Okay. So, I guess we can go there because the next topic was that. So that's a great segue. Mm-hmm. So as he said, there would be no Esther there would be no Esther if there wasn't a Vashti.
Right.
That is like, when we were researching and reading, we found that came to mind. When we think about Esther and her role coming in after Vashti was sent away or whatnot, here comes Esther. And Esther at the beginning was basically told what to do by a man. Like, Mordecai was like, do this, do that. And so you can get into the kingdom so that you can somehow be able to save our people from exile or whatever. And so when we think about Esther, in contrast to Vashti, looked like the good one, right? She looked like she was the good one in contrast to her, in contrast to Vashti. She was more passive and submissive versus Vashti was more independent, like a sister, like,
Not today.
Exactly. So in contrast, those were the personalities that we saw with Esther and Vashti.
Yeah, and also to keep in perspective that it's from a male perspective. So I think Vashti is always going to be presented and painted as this wicked, dishonorable woman. You don't hear many sermons about Vashti, right? You don't hear many discussions about the power that Vashti possessed by raising her voice. Like, she is just this woman who used to be a queen, and then Esther. Like, the whole book is about Esther.
Right.
And it's interesting.
The whole book is written.
It's called Esther, right? And it's interesting too, right? Because as you stated, like, Esther is the passive. She comes from poverty.
Yes.
She's brought into the palace, and then she delivers her people. Like, she is the hero, right? And Vashti is almost like the forgotten sort of kind of villain for raising her voice.
Yeah.
And, like, black women are always painted as problematic for raising their voice. And we need to dismiss them and look at the trouble they cause, and the Me Too movement, and they want women's ordination and all this other stuff. And so the story leans and tends more towards that Esther who is passive, docile, but she does raise her voice.
She does. Eventually, she finds her voice.
She is painted as a hero because she's dainty and she doesn't disobey.
Correct.
She obeys all of the things that the men are asking her. Her uncle is asking her to do. Her, and for her people and things like that. Yeah,
yeah. And I think it goes back to what we were saying last week about good girls are quiet girls. That narrative of when you speak up, or if you speak out, or if you're speaking too loud, that you're considered as bad news, or you're not as as
you're trouble. You're not as welcoming as you're not as what you're supposed to be. Like I think Arlene said, be seen and not heard.
Correct. Be seen and not heard. Yeah. That's and the more that you are not heard is the better.
The better.
And I think it speaks to it. Going back a little bit, I think it speaks to what Ashurus and his people, his wise men. I wish I was going to say something else, but I'm going to keep it holy.
I can baptize you again.
I'm going to keep it holy because I really feel that he was wrong in a lot of ways. But thinking about, here he is sending a decree, right? Setting a decree for all the people under his land to be subjected to and submissive to their husbands, based off of what his wife did to him.
Yeah.
And so it was not spoken out of love. It wasn't spoken out of, like, this is why you should be submissive. It's almost like I can't let other men be disrespected the way that I was disrespected. And I think sometimes there are some men, let's be real, there are some men who thinks that who would what's the word I'm looking for? There are some men who would say yes to that kind of
oh man, them men that want that life.
They would sign off and say, yo,
he did the right thing.
He did the right thing. Like, yo, homeboy, yo, props to you. And I think those are the men who gives the word that we're in the Bible that talks about being submissive a bad taste in our mouths as some women. Because there are some women who feel like that submissive should be what that looks like in the Bible. That's how I interpret it is not that at all.
Yeah, well, submit, and that's something we could talk about. You submit to your wives. Like, that whole text is sometimes misinterpreted because he talks about as Christ did for the church. And what did Christ do? He died for the church. Mm-hmm. And when you submit, when Paul's like submit, he's using the example of a king and the citizens. Mm-hmm. The reason why they would submit to a king is because they knew that the king would be willing to put his life on the line for the citizens. So, brothers, if you ain't willing to put your life on the line for your wife,
right,
or for the sisters that are around you, then you don't need to have nobody submitting to you.
Nope, not one.
You don't need to get angry if they're not submitting to you. If you're not saying to yourself, yo, I'm going to take these bullets for you or whatever. So we misinterpret that text with submit. And then submit does not mean be quiet.
Yes.
Yeah,
say that again. It does not mean I have to be quiet while my husband talks for me or speaks for me. Right. I mean, unless I know his heart. If I know his heart, then he can talk for me.
That's right.
But if he doesn't know my heart, he needs to shut up. Real talk.
Shut your mouth.
I like what Seeley said. He says it's damaging in an evil ideology. It facilitates and enables abuse. Mm-hmm. Very much so. Almost like the man has to lord himself over a woman. And sometimes some men use hitting women as their way of lording over their spouse or girlfriends or whatnot. And, that joint is not cool at all. And I just feel as though when we talk about Vashti, like, real talk, she's my shero. Like, I absolutely love her for the fact that she stood up to Assuris and she let him know you got the wrong one. But going back to what's so funny,
you got the wrong one. That's a sister right there.
So going back to what you were talking about, Esther ended up raising her voice. How?
By saying no. One simple word. I'm not going to do that. And
Esther.
Esther. Sorry, Esther. My bad.
Earth to Jamie.
Earth to me. Esther ended up raising her voice by standing up for her people, by getting the king to reverse the decree to kill all the Jews.
Correct.
She did that. How she did that? Some people may, say she was doing some things because for 7 days, she had to please her husband. We don't know the definition of what please is.
I mean, real talk, that's not a bad thing. It's her husband.
Yes. But real talk, she shouldn't have to please her husband for 7 days for her to get something.
That's a whole nother topic right there.
A whole nother topic. Look, I ain't arguing. Look, I'm here. I'm sitting here. Keep it.
So let's keep it 100. 100. I said 100. 100. Let's keep it 100.
Just dug myself in a hole.
Would you be okay with being pleased in order to a request from me?
No.
Why?
No, because that's not right. You shouldn't have to do that to get a response or a reaction from me. Mm-hmm. You should be able to come and talk and we can speak about it. And then, we decide about it. Now, there is nothing wrong with pleasure for 7 days.
We grown folks, right?
We grown folks.
Let's see. Make sure nobody. Okay.
That's right. There is nothing wrong with pleasure for 7 days within the confines of marriage.
Right.
You know, undefiled.
Right.
Holy. Spiritual.
Okay.
Enlightening.
Okay, Jamie, stop.
Seeley says, facts. If I can't rap, what else I'm gonna do? But yeah, so you know, she had to do that for a certain amount of days,
right?
So that she can get the decree reversed, and Haman was hung, and all that other good stuff.
But one of the things I wanted to point out was she knew King Ahasuerus was weak.
Right.
She knew that. I was telling Jamie this. I don't know, maybe I'm the only one that sees this or feels it or whatever. Because I'm super like, what's the word? Like, I think often, and sometimes I overthink or overprocess some things. And so I was telling Jamie, real talk, if I see a dude, right? If I'm a friend with a dude, dating a dude, whatever, and I see that one time you showed weakness, and not a weakness in a sense where, oh my gosh, you are not able to do certain things. No. Not that kind of weakness. It's the kind of weakness that Ahasuerus showed, and the kind of weakness where he was not able to stand up to Vashti. Like he had to go and ask his boys for advice, yeah, right, on how he should handle his wife,
his marriage,
right. And that's another thing. Don't go to your friends to handle your marriage.
Yeah, ain't there's a song like that, right?
You're about to rap it?
No. That's
you're about to sing it.
No, neither one. I'm just trying to. No, the rap comes at the end of the show. Can't give the people
I didn't know that this was something that was ongoing.
Yeah.
But okay. All right. So as I was saying, that she knew that there was a level of weakness within him. And I know that some women like myself, like I'm able to see, and when I'm able to see that that weakness where you're not able to stand up, square your shoulders against wrong. That's something that I put behind in the back of my head. Like, okay, all right.
It's like when the animal smells blood. Like it's like vicious. Like
it's not vicious. It's just something that I put behind my head. Like,
oh wait. So you're saying that you just put that behind your head to know that this is a weak brother?
Yeah. Like I'm not gonna go and say,
okay,
this dude is weak.
No. I thought you were saying like once I see that, I go after it because I know I can take advantage.
Oh no,
of that weakness. I'm
really?
about to say, man,
does that sound like me?
I'm about to say, who did I marry?
Say that? Okay, I'm about to ask. You can answer the question. That sounds like me.
No.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
I'm just trying to figure out. Am I sleeping with the enemy?
What? Yo, you tripping right now. Anyway, so as I was saying that she knew that there was a level of weakness. Mm-hmm. I think that's how she was able to, maybe it's a stretch, but I think that's how she was able to go and kind of use whatever to get him to, of course, with God's help. Yes, God's help. But I think she used his weakness that she knew or heard about to get her way.
Yeah.
I mean, it could be a stretch.
I think she was strategic and she knew the best way to get to have her husband grant the requests of Mordecai. Right, because of Mordecai is involved in that whole thing too. Like Mordecai is telling her, like, "Yo, you're here for such a time as this. You're here for this." And so I think Mordecai almost like is imposing on her, do whatever you need to do in order to get this reversed. Mm-hmm. You know, in order to get that. And I'm sure Esther, being his wife, knew exactly what will get the king to listen to her and to turn things around because she's new in the palace. We don't know how long Vashti has been there, so I guess she's building her trust and all of that stuff. And she knows this is one of the ways, or probably the best way to do it.
Right. But she did get her way. She did not get her way, but she did accomplish what she was sent to do.
Right, what God put her there for.
For sure. And I'm not mad at Esther at all. But I just so wish, like Dina and the other women in the Bible that have been raped or have been wronged, that I just wish that the Bible did somehow write it, or write about it, or write what exactly the response was or would have been. Like,
I'm sure if the Bible was written by women, it would have been different. It would have looked a whole lot different.
The Bible would not look the way that it looks like.
The stories would have been from a totally different perspective.
Yeah.
If the women's voices were heard in the scriptures, because we only hear the voices of the women through the men's pens. Right? And so what is it like? Until the lion has his own historian, the hunter is always the hero. So in most of the stories in the Bible, the man is the protector and the savior. And so I'm thinking another woman that we should talk about is Rizpah.
Oh man.
Yeah, Rizpah is a powerful story, which goes into that narrative as well. And especially particularly with what's happening with Black Lives Matter, I think the story of Rizpah is very, very important.
Yeah. I was thinking about going back to the valuable thing and how Vashti knew her value.
Yeah.
I'm reminded of a story that you told me that I think it was in a book that was read to you, or that you read, or someone told you the story of how...
I probably read it.
I hope so.
I may have wrote it.
You didn't write it.
Okay.
You can't lie.
All right. I don't know the story. You never know. I've written stories.
Did you write this story?
I don't know what the story is. So when you say it, then I can say, oh, I didn't write that one.
I know for a fact you didn't write it.
All right. Let's see.
So the story is told how it was just talking about the two Americas, and how when we grow our children, when we raise our children, how Black children are how Black children explore versus how white children explore.
I didn't write this story.
I know, that's what I said.
Okay.
Y'all, please come get him.
Can't get me.
Come get him.
Nope.
Okay, so here we go. So there was a Black family and a white family in the bank, I think it was.
Yes.
And it was a mom and her two children. They were basically, it's not Jamie's story. I feel like you have too many fans on this thing. Like, no, it is not his story.
It's my page. Thank you.
So the white children were given the freedom to explore. They were in a bank online. They were given the freedom to explore. What does exploring look like? Yeah. They were running around, screaming, basically doing everything a Black person, a Black mother would be like, if you don't sit still or sit quiet. And so there was another mom and her children, Black children, and what could be heard and seen is the kid standing right next to the mom, and she's kind of telling them, don't you dare. You see what exactly they're doing? Don't you dare do what they're doing. And so it just the book just talked about the two differences in how one race is able to explore freely while another race is not able to explore as free. And so I'm just thinking about Vashti and how in her upbringing, because we were talking at the beginning about how she was an aristocrat, and these kids know their value. They know that one day they may be the owners of the bank, versus the Black people, when the Black children, it's kind of taught like.
Yeah, like, so the mother is saying to the Black kids, like, stand here, be straight, because we only here to get money and leave. Don't be rolling around the place. Don't be screaming and yelling, and don't be doing all that stuff. Stay in your place. I think we all have that story, right? Like as Black people, we have to always, and that's like part of why it's so hard to be Black in America, because we always have to be so perfect.
Right.
Like if our kids are loud, if a mother is out and her kids are loud, she is already defined as an unfit mother who can't control her kids. And so, you know, I think the psychologist, I forgot the name, but I'll put it as like LaRue or something like that. But it was just going into what you were saying is that, you know, white children are brought up in a way that they can like roll and do whatever they want. There's no controls or parameters on them, and they're free to do that, and nobody will judge them for doing that.
Correct.
It's seen as almost okay. You know, they're explorative. You know, the kid can walk around and say, one day I'm going to own this bank. I can work here, you know, and they're like they're very vocal.
Yes.
They can express themselves the way they want to express themselves versus us. Shut your mouth. You know, Kendrick Lamar has a great song about that I listen to all the time. But it just goes into what you were alluding to, like Vashti was able to explore mentally of what royalty looks like. And this is who I am.
That's right. She
know?
Was able to know how valuable, like she grew up knowing her value, right? She grew up knowing that I am a part of a family, a royal family. And so this is the expectation, right? The expectation is here versus, you know, I'm not saying that Black families don't have value or we don't try to instill that value in our children, but I'm just contrasting how from the beginning of time that this woman, this girl, Vashti, knew her value. And it's so important that as we have little girls, it's so important for us to instill that value in them, in that they know that, yo, if he's not doing this, and this, or saying this, or if he's not saying this, and this, these are the I guess the bars or the different ways of knowing whether this guy or this, you know, person is for me. Not even talking about necessarily relational, like a boyfriend, girlfriend, but even like in friendship. And if that person doesn't see your value or see your true value, then, you know, yes, it's hard to shuck the deuces sometimes because of course you're thinking about, oh my gosh, I want friends. I want people to always love me and be around me, but not at your expense, right? Not they shouldn't be taken away from you. They should be adding to your value. So thinking about Vashti and thinking about as a woman and thinking about children, little people that we're raising, that is so important for boys and girls to know that their value, so that they will not be treated like a stripper or
a thought.
A thought. Because I mean,
and
I was gonna say something, but I won't.
Keep it holy.
I'll keep it holy.
All right. Amen.
I guess
circumspect.
Right. I'm trying to be.
But the other thing too that I want to mention to the people listening is that violence does not only express itself in rape or abuse, but what was done to Vashti was a sense of violence as well in muting her voice and dismissing her. So there are different forms of aggression and different forms of violence. And so that's why we call it Vashti values and violence, because that was a sense of violence towards her that what they were trying to do to Vashti was make her a public display and a public problem to show this is what will happen to you if you raise your voice. And that's why they didn't want the word to get out, and they put that law out because they didn't want other women to be empowered by her. And so they had to act in a way that was violent.
That's good.
To shut her mouth and to banish her, like get her out of here, get her away. Like we're not even gonna let her have any other kind of influence on other young women or other women who feel that they are in the same situation or are subjected to violence within their own marriage.
Wow.
And the muting of the dismissing of their voices.
Wow. I don't even know where that is. I mean, where to start. I love what Vivette says. Violence is not just a physical act.
Facts. Oh, I need my sound.
Actually, you just did it, and that was really good.
The sound was whack.
But I do think that I agree 150% with you that it's not just physical. It's mental.
Right.
And sometimes when you don't know your value, what do you say?
Your value doesn't, the
You
valuables don't determine your value.
No. Oh.
I thought it was that.
When you don't know your value, you lower your value.
Yeah, you live down to other people's,
or you live down to
other people's expectations.
Correct.
We're the horns.
We don't need it. Thanks. But anyway, I also think Duel 747 said something as well, talking about something with the family. Oh, there it is. He says part of the problem is that some parents don't know their own value, so they cannot pass that on.
Man, that's so true, man. That's
that
so true.
Will hit.
It's cyclical, you know, that the cycle of not knowing our value and who we are and where we come from.
Yeah.
And it's still, and passing that down to generation to generation. Like what we witnessed when we went to Kenya. Remember when we had dinner with the families over there, and how it seemed like whenever they had like a gathering of, family members, no one can leave without them affirming each other. So it's almost like if the first person is leaving, they would stop eating and they would take time to say, hey, we're affirming you. We love how you're doing in school. We love what you're doing. And we need to instill that within our marriage, within our family, and within our cultural identity of affirming each other constantly, because the affirmation has to come from home. Yeah. It has to come from the people that you know, love and care about you, so that when bad affirmation, when negative affirmation, or affirmation that's looking for something in return, when that comes by, you're not surprised by that. That's not the first time you're hearing it, because you already know the people who love and care me have spoken well of me, and I'm going to carry that with me. Like I think that was so powerful to me, to see that, hey, we're not going to let you leave here unless we affirm you, unless we say we're proud of you. Yeah, we love you, we care about you. Keep on doing what you're doing. Yeah, I love that. But unfortunately, we in our community, in our Black communities, we are all, not all, I shouldn't say all, shouldn't generalize it that way, but some of us are so damaged, or so, there are just things within ourselves. We are so traumatized. There's so many things that Black women face, African-American men face, and just thinking about how can I try to somehow add value to you when I have none within myself. Yeah. And I think that's something that, it's so unfortunate, because it's almost like, how could you expect someone to give you what they don't have? Yeah. And there's where the cycle and this generational curses or generational things happen from one generation to the next, because that hurt, that trauma, that thing we have not dealt with. And so it impacts how we interact with our children. It impacts how we interact with people. And unfortunately, as our children are seeing us react to some people, or where we're constantly telling our kids, go do this, go do that, and not really spending that time or taking the time to really build value within themselves, it's just, and that's why, and that's probably why some of us run to the Gucci or run to the Fendi, run to the certain things, because they give us a sort of value, a sense of false value. Now, there's nothing wrong with those things. You can have those things, but when you're dependent upon those things to define who you are, it becomes problematic. Yeah. And then sometimes, as guys, when we were younger, in high school, we wanted to date the most beautiful girl, not in the sense because we really liked her, but she looked good on our arm. And, and to my boys, I got the baddest girl in the school. She's like a sidearm piece trophy. And I think sometimes when we don't know who we are and whose we are, we run into problems, we run into issues, and then we run searching for that identity in anything that where we can find it, that's something that looks like us, that's similar to us, that we can find some sort of belonging. And I think that's important too. It's like not only value is important, but to know that we belong to something. We belong to a community. And it's hard. It's hard being Black in America because we've been stripped of all our values. We've been stripped of our heritage. We've been stripped of our culture. We're here, lost, running around trying to find it. And we're scratching and pulling, looking for heroes. And I think, as your bag says, I wish you had it right now, that we're not waiting for heroes. We are the heroes. We have to be the heroes for our children and teach them to be the heroes. And that only works when we start taking time to affirm each other and to say, you did an awesome job. I'm proud of you. Even when we don't do something right or our kids do something wrong, say, hey, that wasn't right, but nevertheless, I'm glad you tried, and just find always ways to keep lifting up our children and teaching them to raise their voice. That's right. And going back to Xerxes, you were saying something, Assurance, you said something that where sometimes we put our value into things. It's almost like a pseudo, this high, almost like a medication of sorts, where we feel this high when we buy that bag or we buy this thing that kind of makes us feel good about ourselves. And I think about Assurus, that was his party. That was his party for 180 days, his banquet, and the other one for 7 long days. Like that was him saying, look, I'm putting my value in this because it makes me look good and it makes me feel good to know that everybody else knows who I am and what I have to offer. Yeah, he cared more about what his friends thought about him than the honor of his wife. Or he cared more about pleasing the party and his friends than to actually think about, this is my queen, not just my wife, this is my queen. Yeah. And to want her to come out at the end of the banquet that way. Can I rap now? No. Think about that mentality reminds me of like when you're a teenager. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like teenagers, I would say teenagers to probably early 20s. Where a guy would do exactly what he just described. Yeah. So Celie just saw what you did to me. So I'm going to ask the people, do you want me to rap now? Put it. What did Celie do? Box. He said, ouch, because he heard how dismissive. No, he didn't. He's saying ouch in terms of what I was saying. No, he said ouch because I said, can I rap now? And you're like, oh my gosh. So I'm going to ask the people now, put it in the chat box. Do you want to hear your boy flow, go, sow like seeds, reaping the harvest? That's enough. So I'm gonna give you more. But we just need to hear from the people. See, he's talking about me. You guys, listen. I need to speak to the people. Come on, Celie, Brooklyn, stand up, Celie. I need to speak to the people. This isn't a rap show. Spit those bars by Vet Dukes. Horns. We don't have the horns today, but. It's so annoying. That's so annoying. Like a lot. Well, you married me. Oh gosh, someone says bars. Oh Lord. They want to hear it. I don't want to, but I guess I don't have a choice. It's going down. Both yes. Go ahead. No, I'm saying aligned with because we have another appointment, so I can't leave the people. But I know you have some comments that you want. Apparently not, because it seems as though you need to spit your bars. That's what the people want, right? So give the people what the people are asking for. They want to hear you rap. I'm not feeling your vibe right now. You shouldn't. I need your vibe to encourage me. All right. Can you do like a fake horn for me, please? I don't want to. I'm gonna be so yo. Boo! Is that one? Look, you over there booing, but you don't know what you're doing. Soon you're gonna be sweeping and wooing when we get to the cooing and oohing. Okay. La, la. See how I do it? Like I was Carmela Monk Crawford, the leader of Message Magazine. I got a message for my people, you know what I mean? Talking about values, Vashti, and violence. We know that comes together with silence. Yo, I'm in my thing. I'm doing it, fam. I don't even understand how you could disrespect a woman. Come on, bro. Do your thing, yo. Bow down to her because you came out of her, yo. She your mom's. She your sister. She your auntie. You think you nice because you got a little Fendi? Ah, yeah.
What?
Don't front. I left them like, yo, that was one of the sickest raps I did. Because I left them like, what's he gonna say next? And I said, nah, too many bars.
Actually, what I thought was you didn't know what else to say, so you just left it.
Oh, I always got something to say. I always got something to say. I never play nor delay. And then when I go, I kick it up like, hey, horses running, bucking. And then we are not slipping. We are not ducking. We are watching out for bullets. Don't let me have to pull it. I pull it back. I get it with the 66 Magnum, the Bible. That's my rifle because I'm a disciple. Come on, yo. Horns.
Yo, I'm crying real tears. Wow. Thank you all for joining us on this wonderful lively discussion that we've had. We thoroughly enjoyed every bit of it from beginning to end. There's so much more, of course, we can touch on, but our time's up. And we're just so glad and so happy that you guys are here, encouraging our foolishness and also being able to engage with you guys in this way. This has been awesome. We truly, truly, truly appreciate all of you that have viewed. And I'm not sure if we're going to come back next week. I'm not sure.
I'll be back.
Yeah, you be back by yourself with your horns.
I'm going to have a cutout picture of you right next to me.
That's so disrespectful.
Because you don't want to come back.
It's not that I don't want to come back.
Where you going next week? This COVID-19, like, where's there to go?
I have places to go and people to see.
Corona out there.
It's true, but you guys stay safe.
Wear your mask, drink your water, stay hydrated.
Yeah, get that vitamin C up.
Get it all the way up. And please let us, please share this. Please comment. Please comments, likes, shares. If you enjoy the conversation, then let somebody else enjoy it too. So we really appreciate you hanging out with us for the last hour. And I guess this is Carlene and Jamie signing out. Keep the conversation going. Peace.
Bye, guys.